Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anish. I'm from Centelli. We've been a UiPath partner for about 8 years now. And over the course of this year, we've worked with multiple customers. But one of the customers whose story is very exciting, very interesting, is with us today. And we're quite excited to share what they've done. For the past 2 years, we've had a front row seat at their entire automation journey. And like most automation journeys, it started off by trying to automate existing processes that were causing bottlenecks in operations. But very quickly, they realized that there's far more that can be done with the platform, and they moved on to some extremely innovative ideas, things that they had put in the too hard to do bucket in the past. And Martin Oswald has been at the driving seat of that journey. He's been spearheading the charge, and today he's joining us to actually share what they've done, how they've achieved it, and hopefully give you guys some inspiration as to where the UiPath platform and AI and automation can actually help a business. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Martin.
Yeah. Thanks, Anish. Hi, everyone. It's really great to be able to come and share our automation journey at Travelodge and speak to you about how we're using automation as a real key capability within the business. So in today's session, I'll cover off who we are at Travelodge, the scale of our operation, how we use creativity when it comes to automation and maximizing the return on investment, which is something that I'm very passionate about. I'll touch on how we got program momentum, so from those early days to now scaling up the program at pace. We'll touch on the automation lifecycle and our operating model that we've got in place with Centelli before finishing on how we're approaching AI and starting to see some of those user cases delivered. So very quick introduction. So I'm the head of operational transformation at Travelodge. I've been at Travelodge now for 7 years, and prior to joining Travelodge, I've got a background in operational and transformation roles in catering, contract services, banking, and insurance. And the one thing that I really love about Travelodge, and the reason why I stay there, is because how open we are to new ideas, technologies, and ways of working. The business really encourages us to be creative, and we're not afraid to be first to market with things, which someone in my role is particularly exciting. So who are we at Travelodge today? So we've got over 630 hotels. We're continuing to grow. 96% of our hotels have a 4.TripAdvisor or more. We've got 49,000 rooms that serve 22 million customers a year, and over 2/3 of our estate is now fitted with a new refit room. And importantly, all of this happens because we've got 13,000 wonderful colleagues that underpin the business for us. So when it comes to our automation vision, it's fairly straightforward, and it hasn't really changed. So I set out to deliver an efficient operating model through the principle of more tech and less non-value-add human effort, whilst increasing business intelligence and visibility. And one of the things that I love about automation is just how layered the benefits are. And whilst all of our automations create a really strong return on investment for us, there isn't a single one that doesn't go on to deliver really tangible secondary benefits. And therefore, the opportunities that my team go on to deliver in conjunction with Centelli both support the business, enhancing the customer and colleague journey, removing those costly errors that if any of us did the same thing over and over again, we would inevitably make mistakes. And we see that at Travelodge, and those mistakes cost us, and we want to get rid of them. We want to be able to continue to grow as a business without taking on those unnecessary new costs. And importantly, we want to unlock new revenue opportunities that without automation, we wouldn't have otherwise been able to achieve. And therefore, we really encourage our business owners to think about it in this way, to think about the art of the possible. As one of the biggest sort of opportunities that we see at Travelodge are the things that we're not doing today. And this is what we use to really drive benefit and is a key way in which we engage with the business owners. One of the things as well that we sort of have learned over our journey so far is how we diversified benefits. So we've got automations now that reduce cost, mitigate new and growing costs, increase revenue, reduce third-party spend, and importantly, we're able to track all of that right down to our bottom line and then showcase that back to the business, which really drives program momentum. And from this approach, we're now in a position where we've got a multi-year program that's worth multi-million pounds. Automation is a permanent fixture now within Travelodge, and it's also a real key enabler to some of our strategic programs, which is a really good way of keeping a program like this visible at a senior level and keeping that momentum. So let's have a look at how that translates into reality. So as I said, we're in year 2 of our journey, which doesn't sound very long, but a lot has happened in that time. We started off by selecting a couple of key user cases within specific departments to showcase the different ways in which automation can be applied. And then from there, the program grew arms and legs. So as we exited last year, we had over 20 automations live within the business, hundreds of thousands of transactions now being automated that would have otherwise had to have been done by colleagues or things that we weren't doing before. And our goal this year is to scale up even faster and more quickly. And we hope to exit this year with over 50 automations live. And we're also not short of areas to continue to go and explore to drive our roadmap into future years. I think one of the key things about this slide in particular is just the scale of the benefits. So when we look at where we started in month 1 to where we project exiting this year, we would have 20 times the benefits that we saw in that first month. And considering some of those early automations were quite high value for us, it just shows how the program's continuing to get momentum. So if we look at the life cycle that underpins the way in which we operate, so to generate that pipeline, as I'm sure many of you do, we hold structured workshops with the business. We upskill our colleagues on the different types of automation tools available, and we bring to life real-life user cases that we've landed within the business. We put all of those opportunities through a prioritization matrix, which takes into account at a high level at this stage the ease, the effort, and also what you need to believe in order to be able to make that automation a success. We then work with Centelli to undertake that technical assessment. And I do like this bit because sometimes Centelli will bring to the table things that we hadn't thought about, tools that we haven't yet seen. And that's a really good way of being able to push the scope of automation and in some cases stretch those benefits. And critically, before we push any automation into build, we create a contract with the business owner. And that contract outlines what it is they're saying that the automation is going to do, what benefits it's going to deliver in amongst its different layers, how we're going to measure those benefits. So once we've done our bit, we've built and delivered the automation, it's then over to the business owner to deliver that benefit. And of course, we closely monitor that because it's of interest to us. As we then move our automations into build, we really work on shaping the ways of working, the implementation approach, in addition to making sure all of our compliance documentation is in order. Put a lot of effort at this stage into the colleague journey and the ways of working. We like to understand what this automation is going to mean for our colleagues, how they're going to operate with it, make sure they're comfortable so we can move at pace and get things live as quickly as we can. And then I think as we move into testing, one of the things that we don't like to do is spend too long in testing. We like to move live as quickly as possible in a controlled way so we can start to scale up. As many of you will know, it's the easiest way to find those edge cases and to be able to feedback, refine that automation before moving it into run, maintain, and sustain. And then once all that's done, my favorite bit, we can sit back, watch the benefits come in, work with the business owner to make sure that it's delivering what it should do, and then make sure that's signed off through finance. So if we now briefly touch on the operating model that we've got set up with Centelli, who are essentially part of Travelodge now. So Team Travelodge, we work on the idea generation, defining the value, the success criteria. We own building out those colleague-centric ways of working, along with the governance and the implementation approach. We then work with our dedicated team at Centelli, who provides specialist resource based on the problem we're trying to solve and make sure the right tools are then put in place. And as Centelli move that through the build process to ensure everything's of high quality to the standard that's needed as we push that into the live environment. We then work hand in hand with them during that hypercare period to make sure we've got that 360 loop in place to feedback those iterations that we need to make and iron out those edge cases before then we move that into the live environment. And I think that the thing for us, what works so well about that relationship is just it allows us to be agile. Where we've got new opportunities coming in that are competing in the prioritization order, we're able to prioritize where we need to, and then also we're able to move at pace. So when it comes to opportunities that use AI, we're seeing a growing need for AI technology to make the most of our automations and to get after opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. But we don't like to start with AI. We like to start with the problem and make sure the right tools are in place to solve that problem. And in most cases, and in some cases, AI can be a real help to that. We've got a number of AI user cases that are now live within the business, which is really exciting. We've got a number that are in build and a number that are in our pipeline. And we definitely see it playing a key role in our delivery and strategy for this year. I've mentioned a few times around those colleague ways of working, and some of the early learnings that we've taken from AI opportunities that we've put live is to really double down the efforts in making sure you understand what it means for the end user, especially where you've got lots of different component parts coming together, being AI, RPA, having a colleague in the loop, other departments. What does it really mean for them? How do you get the best out of that? And how do you make sure those colleagues are part of that journey so we land it right first time? And then I think as we move through this year, we absolutely see AI being a key enabler to being able to deliver further operational consistency. And we've got a number of user cases that are really going to enhance the customer and colleague journey, as well as provide us with that return on investment. So I'm really excited to get those live. So I think that's pretty much my time. So it's where we are on the Travelodge journey. Hopefully that's been of some use. My LinkedIn's up there. Feel free to reach out if you've got any questions, and please do reach out to Centelli as well. Thanks very much.